friends, insane persons, and welcome to another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. My name is Kyle, and Wednesday Whimsy is a short show that I do every Wednesday evening where I talk about a board game, a top 10 list, or some other board game related topic that happens to be on my mind. Well, I just got back from the Dice Tower Cruise 2025, had a fantastic time. I think we're going to talk about that on Sunday with Ilya, so you'll get both of our thoughts on that. So I'm not going to talk about cruise sort of thoughts today. I might do something about that in the future. Instead, I'm going to talk about a topic that kind of has been coming up a lot lately, and something that I've really been thinking about, and that is short games. So for me, a short game is a game where you can go from 0 to 50 all the way, complete the game in 10 to 15 minutes or even less, right? I'm not talking about anything that's really longer than 15 minutes. And that's what I want to talk about. These games don't often get a lot of attention. They might get a little bit, right? As a great party game or a great game to sort of take with you when you're traveling or something. But they don't necessarily, I don't know, some of these don't show up on my top 100 list, for example. Some might, but anyway, I just wanted to sort of talk about it. Now, my goal in talking about 10 to 15 minute games is not to go on really long, because that would be kind of silly to go on longer than it takes to play the games for this list. So I'm going to keep this list pretty short and sweet, hopefully. I'll do my best at least. And yeah, so we're just going to get in. We're going to jump in. I'll tell you about the games. Let's go. Number 10. My number 10 is an older game, and it's actually not one that I really talk about much at all. The game itself had some controversy with a failed Kickstarter and some theft and fraud, but eventually another company bought them up and gave people a copy, so can't really blame them for that. This is a delightful short solo or cooperative game set in the World War II time frame, and the game is called Airborne in Your Pocket. This is actually a remake, I believe, of a game called Zombie in Your Pocket, which came out long ago from old Cambridge Game Factory. Let me see if I can open it up here. In this game, you're going to have a small deck of tiles and a deck of cards, and you're going to be going through and kind of having yourself a little adventure. You might have a mission you're playing through. You might be working together as sort of a general kind of goal of to go into this bunker and blow up some guns and then escape to the drop zone. And then each person has their own deck of cards, and each turn you're going to do some movement, and then you're going to flip over a card, and depending on where you are, it's going to tell you what happens to you. As the game goes by, you might find weapons, you might get stronger, you might die and lose, and every time you go through your deck, it's going to advance time, and if you take too much time, you lose. It really is a game that takes 10 minutes to play, especially solo. It's a great one. It's not one that's really all that splashy. I don't even know how easy it is to find anymore. But it's one I really enjoy, and it's actually a little bit bigger than it needs to be. I don't know what pocket in the world it would fit into, but it's definitely one that I kind of find myself going to if I just have 10 minutes and I want to play a full game experience. Airborne in Your Pocket is definitely that for me. I guess I should say, part of this list, I'm not trying to put a whole lot of party games on here. There might be one, but in fact, the next one, I guess, is one. But I want to talk about, just other games, not just party games. Anyway, let's go on to my number 9. Number 9 is almost a stand-in for several different kinds of games, which are these sort of short, fun party games. This game is one actually I played on the cruise, and we played it several times in a row. It's always when you play several times in a row. That game is Ito. Ito, I believe a Japanese game. What you're trying to do is order these cards that are numbered 1 through 100, and you're trying to help people pick where they go in the order. And you're putting them face down, and the way you're doing it is you're going to have some sort of a category, and this looks like it's not in English, but the category might be animals you would like to ride. And so if you've got a 3, you might say a porcupine, and if you say 99, it might be a camel, because riding a camel is amazing. Whatever it happens to be, you're going to pick your clue, put it face down, and then you, as a group, are going to try and get them in order. And you'll see how you did. It literally takes 5 minutes for a game, but you're going to play 4 or 5 games in a row, which gets you up to the 15 or 20-minute mark. But an individual session of Ito's 5 minutes easily. Great game, lots of fun, very replayable, very enjoyable. That is my number 9, Ito. Let's go on to number 8. My number 8 is, I tried not to have just one kind of game on here. My number 8 is the trick-taking entry, I guess. Now, there's a lot of really good short trick-taking games. The one I'm putting on here is a 2-player only trick-taking game that I find incredibly satisfying, and that game is Claim. In Claim, you're going to divide the cards in half, and you're going to play through 2 times. You're going to play through each half of the deck. The first half, you're essentially building your hand for the second half, which is what's going to score you your points. There's a bunch of different special abilities, and there's a bunch of expansion modules that you can mix and match, so you have lots of special abilities. But it was one of the first, this and Fox in the Forest came out about the same time, the first kind of games that tried to tackle a 2-player trick-taking experience, and this one does it phenomenally. Claim is always so satisfying to play, yet you're easily playing it in 10 minutes or less. Really good, really fast, really small and portable, but a great card game. One of the best trick-taking games out there, actually. It's kind of gone under the radar, I guess, in recent years, or at least maybe been forgotten, but I really enjoy it. It's my number 8, Claim. My number 7 will be here after this. All right, my number 7 is a game that actually works well with lots of different player counts. It is a small drafting game, but it's not a card drafting game. It is a wooden dinosaur drafting game, and the game is Draftosaurus. Draftosaurus is just this phenomenally fun little game where you have a handful of dinosaurs, little wooden dinosaurs, and you're trying to put them in your own little dino park, and you're just going to take one and pass the rest on. And then you're going to be rolling a die, and if you roll the die, that'll tell you where you can place it on your board. You're trying to make sets in one part of your board. You're trying to have pairs in another. Have one dinosaur be only the one you have the most of. Lots of different sort of ways to score them. And you're just going to play a couple of hands of this. It's all very small. It fits nicely in a bag. Actually, you can ditch the box and put all the components in a large tote bag. Just a really good draft game. Very solid, yet very satisfying. And it works well with a larger group because the rules are so simple. It's take a dinosaur, place it where you're supposed to, pass the rest, and you just go from there. I really enjoy Draftosaurus. I find it's one of the best drafting games that's out there, especially for just a quick, light, fun game. Really good. Well, that's all I can say. I love Draftosaurus, and again, this is a 10-minute, 15-minute tops experience, yet it's one you'll probably want to try again. So there you go. My number 7, Draftosaurus. My number 6, see what I did there? My number 6 is a newer game. I played it for the first time at Gen Con, and then I finally got my own copy, and it is a very thinky, very difficult logic game. It is unlike really anything out there. It's almost a party game, but it's so thinky that doesn't really feel like a party. This game is Things in Rings. In Things in Rings, one person is going to be the knower, and the knower knows 3 rules, and the rules are going to be about certain things. So, for example, you'll have a rule that describes the word, like how it's spelled. It starts with a consonant, it has double vowels, whatever it may be. A rule that describes some context of it, so things you might find in a store, things that you might give as a gift, something that makes you happy, and then an attribute of it, like it's flammable, it has a spike, whatever that happens to be. You'll just draw 3 cards, and your goal is to help people to be able to guess where their cards fit so that they can get rid of their cards. Like on your turn, you play a card. If it matches where you put it, and you're sort of doing this Venn diagram here, if it fits exactly where you put it, you get to play another card. If not, the knower is going to put it where they think it does go, and you draw a card. So you're really just trying to get rid of your cards, but by figuring out the logic puzzle that's going on, you're going to be able to do so more efficiently. And eventually, when it clicks for you, you're like, okay, I've got this. This goes here, this goes here, this goes here, and you win. It's a game that you'll play several times in succession. Again, really short. It can go a little longer just if people are slow at guessing, but the game itself and the rules complexity are definitely in the short game category. It also has kind of fun Dr. Seuss type art, and although the art really isn't integral to the game, it's a fun little game that's really not like anything else other than potentially Zendo, but this is a lot more fun than Zendo. So anyway, there you go. That's my number 6, Things and Rings. Let's go to number 5. My number 5 is another 2-player only game, and this is a weird mashup style game. This is if you decided to combine two things that really aren't very much fun on their own to see how well they go together. And those two things are rock, paper, scissors and tic-tac-toe. And the game, of course, is rubber, paper, scissors. In rubber, paper, scissors, you are going to have a color, and you're sort of vying for control of the window of the office supply store. Thematically, not necessarily the strongest game, but ultimately you're going to set up these tokens, and you're then going to play several rounds of rock, paper, scissors, or excuse me, rubber, paper, scissors, which is played exactly like rock, paper, scissors, except you say rubber instead of rock. If you win the rock, paper, scissors match, you get to choose between either putting one of your tokens down in the spot, taking the face-up token from a pile, or taking the face-down token. Then the person who lost gets to take one of the remaining two choices, and you get the third choice. You're going to get points by making rows and columns 3 in a row, diagonal as well. You're also going to get points by collecting these tokens. However, there are 3 golden binder clip tokens, and if you get the 3 golden binder clip tokens, the game ends immediately and you win. So you have to be cognizant of where those are. It's this sort of interesting extra shoot the moon mechanism that really makes the game quite fun. As it is, the game's super short. The rules are as light as can be. It practically floats away. Also, the box is about the size of my hand, so it's short, small, and just really quite fun. That is rubber, paper, scissors. On now to number 4, which is probably the newest game on my list. Number 4 is a game that I got for free from Allplay. They were giving it away if you had a token that they sent with a Kickstarter order. And I got it on a lark. I'd heard good things about it. But this game really was an absolute success story with my family at Christmas time. And with lots of other people I've tried it with. It's just so short and so very playable. Literally a 5-minute game. I talked about it. I wrote about it in my most recent magazine article in the Mad Scribe magazine, as well as sort of the light game of the quarter. This game, Fairy, that's what's called Fairy. Ultimately, what you're trying to do is guess what the next card's going to be. It's a 21-card deck. There are 3 colors, 7 of each, and the middle of each suit, 1 through 7, for example, the 4, I believe, is going to be a fairy. There are no turns. It's all simultaneously played, and what you're going to do is you'll count 1, 2, 3, and you will then guess what you think the next card is going to be, and you do so with a gesture, pointing up, pointing down, open hand, or sort of a catchy symbol if you think it's going to be the fairy. If you're right, you score points. If you're wrong, you lose a point. And then you go on to the next card. Once 3 fairies show up, the game's over. Whoever has the most points wins. Or if someone maxes out the score track, that person just wins. It is this interesting little game. And look, I can't read any deep strategy into it, of course. It's a very light game, but it's just so much fun. And it's interesting sort of to see people, how they kind of play it, right? That there's a 21 on top. Well, I know I'm getting 2 points if I point down because there's nothing higher than a 21. But maybe there's a fairy, right? And if I get a fairy, I get the 7 points. And people kind of start pooling around the fairies when they come up, and it's a lot of excitement. I may be making this game seem a little bit more than it is. There's not a whole lot to it, but it is so fun and so very playable. And just the perfect short game, literally 5 minutes, and you're done and ready to play it again. Also, you already know all the rules you need. That's my number 4, Fairy. Let's go to number 3. Number three is really two games. There's kind of two games that fit that are really the same game, to be honest. But this is, I guess, another party game on the list, and that is, I guess I've already shown it here. That is Insider. Let me put up the banner here. Where's the banner? Insider is basically a cooperative semi or 20 questions game with a trader, and it's super short. I mean, the here it says 15 minutes, but what you've got here is a set of cards. One card is going to be the word. One person knows the word. You're dealt your rolls randomly. One person is the insider, which is the hidden trader. You're going to set a timer, and I think it's a 2-minute timer. It might be three, and you're going to go. People are going to ask yes or no questions, and if you're the master here, you're going to answer those questions and help people to try and guess what the thing is. Since the insider knows the answer, they're trying to steer the conversation, sort of steer the guessing to getting it right. Because if we don't get it right within the time limit, then everybody loses. After someone gets it right, though, everyone gets a chance to vote on who they think the insider is. If you pick the insider, well, then the insider loses and everybody else wins. If the insider goes undetected, then the insider wins on their own. Very simple, very straightforward, super easy rules, and also just the kind of short game that you'll say, okay, we did it, we play again. 15 minutes is very generous because it's a short timer. There's another version of this called Werewords, which is largely the same game but has more complicated special powers, but kind of delivers the same experience. Both are really good, both are really short, both belong on this list, but Insider's the one I've definitely played more, and it's again, it's an oink game, so it's super tiny. That is my number three, Insider. Let's go on to my number two. My number two is not my most played game of last year, but definitely one of them. Oops, I've opened the wrong game here. This is a game that came out over the summer, and it was so light that I was worried the box would float away from the table. The game is called Captain Flip. Captain Flip, super short and fun. What you're doing, I think I did an episode on this back when it came out too. You're going to pull a token from a bag. You're trying to fill these columns on your board with the most advantageous tokens. When you pull the token, you then have a choice either to keep it and place it or flip it over and see what's on the other side. But the joy comes because there's the possibility to bust and end up with nothing if you get too many of certain symbols. Very short and fun, eminently replayable, the kind of game that people just enjoy, have a good time, and you're ready to go with something else. I love Captain Flip. Technically, this is a cheat because I think at least Board Game Geek says 20 minutes. I don't think I've ever seen a game of it last longer than 15, though. So it's definitely a short game, regardless of what you're doing with it. That's my number two, Captain Flip. And now, let's go on to my number one. My number one was, I think, my second favorite game from 2023. This, actually, I think it ended up winning Spiel des Jahres for 2024 as well. This is a delight of a game. It is a two-player only game that you can also, with a workaround, play solo, and that game is Sky Team. Sky Team is just such a delightful game. In Sky Team, you are a team, a pilot and co-pilot, and you're working together to land a plane, and for whatever reason, you're choosing not to speak to each other, even though you're sitting next to each other. What this at its core is a dice placement game. You're going to roll dice, and you're trying to place them on these spots to activate certain symbols and actions, and you have sort of a list of things you have to do in order to win the scenario. There's a bunch of different scenarios. They change little rules. You can add in little modules, make it harder, make it easier. It's such a delightful, interesting game that just it evokes this cooperative nature and this silent communication in a way that you wouldn't even think is possible. It's so fun to play. It's one that I've played lots and lots of times, and one that I continue to enjoy today. It was a well-deserved winner of the big gaming award as well. And my number one game that's a short game, obviously only for two, but that is Sky Team. And there you have it. That is all that I have to prepare to talk to you about today. Now, I did go a little longer than the 15 minutes I was trying for, but that is just what happens because I get excited about games. However, we're not going to go much longer than that because, hey, you got games to try, as do I. And I'll be back. Check our show out on Sunday to hear a bit more about Dice Tower Cruise. And I'll be back next week with another board game related topic. Until then, I'm going to wish you safe travels, courage when you need it, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time for another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Bye-bye.